to ya. Birthday to ya. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday. All right. I want to thank you for checking out another podcast of We Ain't Scared Talk. My name is A1, and we ain't scared. And that opening track, I know a lot of you know who that is, Stevie Wonder, singing Happy Birthday. Today's a special day for me. Very happy about that, my birthday. And a lot of people, as you get older, you don't really want a whole lot of people celebrating it, or you don't make a big deal out of it, but I'm grateful to be alive, especially in this climate of hate in America. A lot of black men barely make it to see 25, so I'm very, very ecstatic. I can hear you now saying back to me, happy birthday, A1. Happy birthday. And I receive all of that. If you hit me on my email, I'll send you my Cash App info. And you can send me some surprise financial, monetary birthday gifts. All right. Thank you very much. Again, I just wanted to let that be known. And thank you to everyone that takes the time, all right, to listen to this podcast. I really appreciate you every week. And I'm well aware that you could be anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me. And as always, I want to thank everyone that has purchased their We Ain't Scared Talk mugs. They are slowly finding themselves homes. Hot drinks are raining down on these mugs. And, if there was a weather forecast that was associated with these mugs, it would be hot and muggy. You see what I did there? Hot and muggy. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. As I take a quick sip here, I'm always on that Starbucks. All right, so I think, and I'm going to take my time as usual. I have about few pages of notes here, and I actually scribbled some things on the side, so I did it a couple of days ago. Hopefully I can still read my writing. And this particular topic is something that I think most black people either think or have at least at some point thought about, and most white people have asked themselves, or they've asked their other black people or other people around them. And hopefully it was serious and it wasn't sarcastic. I'm always trying to find the next phase of racial relationships in America. So here's the topic. What more can white people do? I'll say it again. What more can white people do? And of course, this is as it relates to race and race relations in America. Now, at first listen, the question can be deceiving in its delivery. You can take it one of two ways. Either white folks ain't doing enough to help solve or fight racism and oppression, or white folks are frustrated because they truly believe they have or are doing everything in their power to fight systemic racism and oppression of black people. So, let's deal with the first half of the perception. Dear white people, let me be clear. You ain't doing enough to help solve or fight systemic racism and oppression. And for the second half. So you think you're frustrated. You're frustrated? Let me get this straight. You, white person, think you are frustrated. You have no idea what living a frustrated life is because you ain't black. Living amongst white folks who make it their life's mission to block, hold back, deter, restrain, murder, redline, insult, demean, assault, limit upward mobility, corporate America, write legislation that will prevent any form of living in peace or that will encourage discrimination against black people. You even, allowing the words frustration to enter your mind and then to ultimately come out of your mouth, that's frustrating to black folks. We have had to endure over 400 years of white hate, white privilege, and white fragility. And you, again, have the nerve to say or act like you are the one that has the right to be frustrated. Now, this is a common mentality. Now, I have some side notes here. And this goes back to the Civil War, because honestly, I think we are having another Civil War. The first Civil War, as we all know, freedom was disguised as the U.S. Or as U.S. economic unity. The U.S. was fighting to keep the country afloat economically because the South was wanting to secede to keep slavery alive. Fast forward, the Civil War was 1863, but now fast forward to 2019, what's happening is white dominance is slipping. It's slipping away because they're becoming what? The minority. So they are writing laws that they are hoping will protect their privilege. And they are overlooking police brutality when it occurs and when it happens. Now, here's the irony. As I was writing this and as I think about this, black people have no systemic control or power. We don't have any legal, political, economic, real power in terms of influence. So why is all the hate and the laws written to restrain and hold black people back? Out of all the ethnic groups that really have some type of influence, it seems like this whole black-white dynamic that the target is always black people. And I'm not really sure why, because we've never done anything to anybody. So let me continue. The truth is, white person, are you willing to die to help black folks? Are you willing to sacrifice your own peace of mind and physical discomfort to correct something that your ancestors caused? Are you willing to lose family and friends and have coworkers disassociate themselves from you or with you? How committed are you truly, progressive, post-racial white folks, to helping black folks gain equality in America with 3 Ks? See, when the questions are posed that way, then we really find out what you are made of. Black folks have been dying, or should I say murdered, by white folks in the name of hate and racism since we got to this God-forsaken country. Well, we were stolen and brought. And most white folks get scared of having a difficult conversation with another white person about their issue with paying reparations or why affirmative action is good for black people, even though we know now that it helps mostly white women. Some of you really think you're doing something when you drop off clothes at Salvation Army, or you wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, or you work with black people and you say, good morning, and in your mind, black person, or good night, in your mind, black person. That ain't doing nothing. Those are the non-threatening interactions to your comfort and physical safety, or friendships with your white counterparts. You don't really jeopardize anything with those previously described actions. Now, the truth is, racism was created by white folks, and it will have to be white folks that have to fix the problem. Understand, hate and racism was a violent integration into the life of black people. So thinking that a non-confrontational or non-violent approach or solution of fighting it is absurd. Most white folks are so conditioned to never struggling or dealing with societal pressure that the minute they encounter pushback about their support of ending racism, they start crying or they back away from further engagement in the conversation. I've had people tell me, well, it just got real uncomfortable. Well, I couldn't get a word in edgewise. Well, I was going to say something, but then I felt like the black people that were dealing with this white person that they were trying to explain something to about race and racism, it seemed like they had it under control. When the truth of the matter is you were being a coward, because the reality is black people fighting this fight is not enough. We use the word, or I use the word ally. There has to be a chorus of voices, both black and white, that are confronting white people and telling them to their face, you are wrong, you are racist, you're engaging in discrimination. That's what has to happen. You don't back away because you think somebody's got it under control. You further help and engage. The truth is, if this is not happening, nothing will change. Most white folks are, again, conditioned. And this is weak and unacceptable. Most white folks do not want to sacrifice any of their mental, spiritual, emotional comfort, to help end racism, or at least combat it. And I've had many conversations with white people, both male and female. And there are usually a few things that they say if they don't want to really roll up their sleeves, okay, and get to work. Well, it wasn't me that enslaved black people, so why should I sacrifice my time and energy to fix it? Or they'll say, black people are always using excuses about why they can't get ahead, and I'm tired of hearing about it. Or the other, there's no racism or oppression of black people. They just need to work harder. I think we all have heard that. And all that BS is just a smokescreen for I don't care and I ain't doing shit to help in a situation that I didn't cause. And again, what we're really dealing with, white people, and I'll say this till my last breath, you are obligated to sacrifice everything because, again, black people didn't enslave ourselves. And because black folks have always sacrificed everything to fight and to be here in this country, in America, and to contribute. Black slaves and their blood made it possible for you, okay, 400 years later, to enjoy your white privilege and all the other comforts. Black bodies and hands took care of your great grandparents and their kids. And to think that you are somehow absolved from any participation in speaking out against racism and oppression is insulting, and you look like a hater. Black people have never caused the hate that is targeted at us. We are peaceful, and we usually are the ones that come to the defense of the defenseless before any white voice ever speaks up. So the question of what more can white people do? A lot more. There has never been any real personal sacrifice in a white person's life. And I'm just talking about collectively, okay, in terms of combating racism or oppression. Most white folks have not lost friendships or relationships or business relationships because they call their white male or female friend a racist based on their behavior, or because they stopped or intervened when they realized their white counterpart was behaving in a racist manner. Racism is a vicious cycle, and it can be overt or subtle. And you cannot allow the coziness of a long-term friendship to prevent you from dealing with the hate in an aggressive way. The truth is, white folks have got to start saying without restraint, "Hey, John, hey, Sally, you're a racist. And I am ashamed to know you. But because I do, I have to stop you from continuing your racist behavior in my presence. And I will no longer associate myself with you until you change your destructive racist behavior." That is an ally. Those are the words of an ally. Now, I suspect that white folks don't do this because they're afraid of what they will lose by doing so, which in my opinion, as I alluded to and said earlier, it's cowardice because they don't mind black folks losing out, and we have for over 400 years. We've lost our literal lives. We've lost family, jobs, relationships, friendships, businesses, entire communities burnt out by jealous white folks. And then you're going to come to me, white man, white woman, in 2019 and say you're holding back or you want to operate in a holding back mentality. No, unacceptable. You've got to fight racism, and it has to be overcome. And white folks have got to get more stern. And it doesn't matter that you're concerned about losing your status or position in your respective spaces and places. I put a little footnote here. In June of 2019, black people, black entertainers, professionals, they spoke on Capitol Hill about reparations. And up to now, nothing has happened. Nothing has changed. And like I said at the time, I applauded it, but I said something is going to happen. Either a war is going to start to distract from the progress and prevent it, because that's usually what happens. And the war did begin. It was the war of impeachment of 45. And now everybody is frantic. They're scatterbrained. They're all over the place. And now reparations, yet again, is in the background, smoldering in ashes, and nobody's talking about it. And that's a problem. Nobody cares about a damn impeachment. America owes. And they allow anything, any distraction to get in their way of progress because they don't want to deal with the hard and ugly truth that they have they committed a crime and they need to pay for that crime. Part of the problem, that I'm also seeing is, and that that white people have to address, nothing worthwhile was ever gained through no sacrifice or loss of some sort. It has to hurt. You have to lose something or people or opportunities. This is how you show yourself first that you're serious. And then you show black people that you're willing to lay it on the line for equality. Nobody said it would be easy. It wasn't easy to get here. There's not, and let me follow that up by saying there's not going to be any quid pro quo. Okay, you do this for black folks, and black folks will then do this for white folks or allies. Black folks have already done enough for white folks for the last 400 years. If we never do anything else for white folks, we've done enough. Black folks started in the negative. And as a race, we're still being treated, or should I say, we're 245 years behind our white counterparts. So even if racism and oppression ended today, we would still be 245 years behind our white counterparts as a whole. So the truth is, again, white folks will never be able to do enough. But that does not mean that you do nothing. And here's a good analogy for you to think on if those thoughts come into your mind. Okay, let's say you have a child or a brother or a sister or a sibling, and they were born with no legs. You wouldn't just let them sit in a corner and wallow in self-pity. You would jump into action. You would get whatever medical equipment or prosthetics to compensate for their disability, and nothing would stop you. You see, that's the kind of passion and unstoppable dedication that's needed in the fight against racism and oppression of black people. That's what we need to help our progress. Okay? But again, to do nothing is unacceptable. You have to contribute because the conditions in America in terms of race relations are getting worse and worse. White people can do more by not backing away from difficult conversations with other white people about race. Hell, I even recommend you bringing it up. Be proactive. Don't wait for something to happen in the news before you proactively bring it up. Black people, that's the one thing I love about us. We will bring stuff up. We were proactive. We will put it into the conversation because we know without talking about it, you can't deal with it. White people can do more by confronting their racist bosses for making racist jokes. White people can do more at work by promoting black folks that have a desire for growth, that may not have the same background, i.e. degree or experience, but experience is the best experience. And it is a fact, and this is terrible, that a white male high school dropout will have more earning potential over their lifetime, their professional career, than a black man with a college degree. That's just, it's horrible. White people can tell their white family members that they support Black Lives Matter, which they should, and not allow their white family to minimize it by saying what? All lives matter. You see, and this is a side note here, and I think this is what's happening from a psychological standpoint. It's all subconscious, subversive. I believe personally that slavery has somehow sent an unspoken lie to white people, that they somehow have a right to forcefully insert themselves in black people's lives without our permission, when they themselves wouldn't accept that for their own family or their own life. I do believe that slavery had sent a message that white people have this arbitrary power and right, God-given right to just impose on anything that black people are doing, which is a lie. Okay? It's a lie. You can't. So to continue, white people can stand up publicly against racist-ass cops that murder unarmed black people by speaking to their mayor and local politicians or city council. Okay? White people can teach their kids that black kids deserve patience and more of understanding, okay, than their white counterparts. And not to stereotype Jamal as a basketball player because he's the tallest in the class. White people can talk to their pastors or ministers at their churches about having a combined Sunday service with a black church to create an environment of inclusion and not segregation on Sunday. These are just ideas. And more importantly, white people can stop lying to themselves by thinking that they are somehow not prejudiced against black people. Look, we all harbor some form or sort of prejudice, and it takes daily reminders, okay, to not allow those prejudices to influence our decisions of how we interact with black people. This battle is personal, it's internal, it's invisible within the mind, and more importantly, in the hearts of white people. They have to be willing to literally die for what they believe about fighting racism. And why not? Black folks have been dying for white folks and what we believe since we got here. Again, the Civil War. That was a great example of black folks dying for white folks because we didn't get anything out of it. They dangled freedom. Okay, that can translate over to military service. Okay, the Navy, Army, Air Force, Marines, black folks been signing up for that, dying for a country, fighting for a country that still doesn't care. There is no victory without sacrifice. And you can watch any war movie, any inspirational fight movie, no victory without sacrifice. I mean, the truth is, you may lose a relationship with a son or a daughter or mother or father forever behind taking a stand against hate. But the question is either it's the right thing to do or it isn't. And once you've answered that question, it's up to you to do the right thing and speak out. And not just once or a few times, but every time you see or hear racism being practiced in your presence, it is up to you, white people, to defeat racism. It's up to you. It isn't up to black people. It's not up to us because we didn't create it. That's not something we did. And remember, you will not be getting any applause. There will be no standing ovation for you, none, for doing the right thing. Much like in the same way that black people have lived a thankless existence for all of our sacrifices in blood for white America. There's no standing ovation. Kaepernick took a knee peacefully. Did he get a standing ovation? No. He got death threats. He got blackballed, and now he's not playing a sport that he loves. We don't get standing ovations, even though we should. If you're going to give standing ovations, that needs to be us first. So, do the right thing and let the universe balance it out for you. Okay? Let that happen. It's up to you, white person. White people created it. White people, you got to fix it. You got to fix it. All right? And the harder it is, that tells me, and it should tell you, you're in the right place at the right time to what? Do the right thing, as Spike Lee would say. Well, I want to thank you for checking out another podcast of We Ain't Scared Talk. My name is A1, and you got some good food for thought. Listen again. Tell a friend. We ain't scared.